Kapcherel altar, and also Emmanuel Biketi from Brook Main altar, confirming you are on standby. I've received your confirmations here. This is Bishop David from Colombia, confirming you are tuned in. Bethany altar is tuned in. Overseer Joseph Njoroge from Makongeni, confirming you are tuned in. From Keroka, you are tuned in. Your confirmations from Saudi Arabia, confirming you are tuned in. Wangige Main altar is tuned in. From Qatar, you are tuned in. Tana River is tuned in. Kenya Medical Training College Fraternity on standby. Langata altar is on standby. Engineer Main altar well mobilized. Yaya Kilimani on standby. From Nairobi Main altar on standby. Deputy Archbishop Eric Wambua, entire Machakos County on standby. Mombasa is mobilized. Kahawa West Main altar on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Egerton University on standby. I've received your confirmations here. This is from Makongeni Main altar again, Thika East region. Lokichar tuned in. Kayole Main altar on standby. Utawala Main altar on standby. Githurai 45 tuned in and on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Your confirmations from Karen region on standby. Huruma altar in Nairobi on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Kakamega East region on standby. Your confirmations on this other side. Nakuru Main altar on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmations from Umoja Main altar in Nairobi, and also Mathare North Main altar, confirming you are tuned in. Likuyani region on standby. Konoin region on standby. Kaa chonjo sasa, wapendo wasikilizaji, kaa tayari popote ulipo, kwa sababu dakika chache, kwa yapata dakika 2, dakika 3 hadi 5 hivi, manabii wakuu wa utukufu na wakutisha sana wa Mungu Baba Jehova Yawe wanaenda kuja kwetu moja kwa moja hewani hapa kwenye kituo cha redio cha Yesu ni Bwana. Mama naibu askofu mkuu wa Nyaga kutoka Timao, mnasema mko tayari. Pia hapa Naivasha wanasema wako tayari. Utawala again on standby, and also here from Lunga in Kwale, confirming that you are on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Elizabeth.
That is right indeed, blessed people, beloved listeners. Be on standby. Be on standby now, beloved people. I see Pastor Philip from Joska tuned in. Pastor Eric Baraza from Utawala Main altar tuned in. Sylvester Opio from Utawala once again tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Alphonse of Port Victoria tuned in. I see your confirmation, Pastor Ephraim of Utawala Main altar yet again tuned in. Mama Lumala kutoka Huruma Nairobi unasema nanyi pia mnasikiliza. Overseer Trufena from Buruburu Main altar tuned in. I see your confirmation, Pastor Eric of Nakuru Main altar tuned in. Brian Karanja of Makongeni Main altar tuned in. I've seen your confirmation from Ruaka Main altar, Pastor Fanny Sonam tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Enoch of Donholm tuned in. Mercy Hope from the Gate tuned in. Chris Abraham from Grace altar Kiratina tuned in. Pastor Coletta Kerubo from Melbourne, Australia tuned in. Godfrey from Nairobi Main altar tuned in. Your confirmation, Overseer Sergeant Judy tuned in. I've received your confirmation, Martin Minor. You say you're tuned in from Nairobi, waiting to hear from the Lord. Sami Lekimit from Nakuru Main altar tuned in. Your confirmation here, Florence Simiyu from Bethel altar tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Alphonse Warega of Donholm, you say that you are tuned in and also waiting to hear from the Lord. Be tuned in, be on standby, beloved people. Remember, any moment now, the two mightiest prophets of the Lord, they are coming to us live on air here, beloved people, from the nation of Singapore. Your confirmation, Deputy Archbishop Barno of Burnt Forest region, you're confirming that you are tuned in. Deputy Archbishop David To of Fortenan tuned in. Your confirmation right here, this is Doreen from Lakisama. You're confirming that you're tuned in. Bishop Henry from Goma tuned in. I've also received your confirmation, Overseer Gabriel from Nyangoge altar tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Eric Baraza of Utawala yet again confirming that you're tuned in. Your confirmation, Pastor Caro Wino from Nairobi Main altar tuned in. Bishop Gordon of South Alego region tuned in Siaya. I've received your confirmation, Pastor Patricia from Mailitatu tuned in. Vincent Ambai tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Be on standby, be tuned in, beloved people. Any minute now, any moment now, the two mightiest prophets of the Lord, the two most dreadful and most glorified prophets of heaven, they whom we saw revealed in a very dreadful manner in the nation of Fiji, they are going to be live on air here, beloved people. Bishop Selina confirming that Moiben region is tuned in. Overseer Korir of Kelek altar tuned in. David Saitoti of Kehancha main altar tuned in. Your confirmation, Pastor Brian Waswa tuned in. Your confirmation, Pastor Vincent Katamu of Kakamega Metro tuned in. I've received your confirmation, Pastor Christian Muganda of Njoro tuned in. Mercy Valerie of Ingobor tuned in. I see here Migori Metro is tuned in. Your confirmation, Pastor Mary of Airport Riat region in Kisumu tuned in. Overseer Pauline of Game South region tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Overseer Edwin Orina of Nyamira tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. Your confirmation, Pastor Josephat of Laikipia West region also tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Ensure that you are tuned in, beloved people. Ensure you reach out to somebody that we may all be ready to hear from the Lord. Deputy Archbishop Ann Bogwa of Kerogoya and the entire Kirinyaga tuned in. Bishop Tony Okola of Umoja 3 tuned in. Airways region tuned in. The United States of America tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. The nation of Peru tuned in. The nation tuned in from Canberra, Australia, Overseer Nana. Peru tuned in yet again. Uruguay confirming that you're tuned in and on standby. Chinese-speaking nations are tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmation from the nation of Ecuador. You say that you're tuned in. The nation of Peru confirming yet again. Senior Archbishop Right Reverend Luciane Toledo confirming that the entire of Brazil is tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmation from the nation of China. The nation of Iraq is tuned in, and also your confirmation, Pastor Steve from Melbourne, Australia, waiting to hear from the Lord. Be tuned in, be on standby. I see your confirmation, Pastor Stephen of South Sea Altar. You say that you're tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Caroline.
Thank you very much. And on this other side, this is Senior Deputy Archbishop Janet Swaka from Kakamega Metro, confirming that the entire region is waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmations here. Pastor Widow Gloria confirming Itein main altar is on standby. Evelyn Vuyanzi from Ruaka main altar on standby. And also I've received your confirmations here. This is Senior Bishop Emma Afram, Mama Archbishop Italy, confirming that Reggio Emilia is well mobilized and tuned in. Manaus State, Amazonas, humbly tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Francisco, and also Texas region, USA, confirming once again that you are tuned in. Also here, South Sudan and Northeast Nigeria, you have received the special announcement and tuned in. Bishop Ikwa, and also right here from Mombasa again, confirming that you are tuned in. Also Luanda, Angola, confirming that you are tuned in. And also here I've received your confirmations. This is Germany, Pastor Faith, confirming that you are humbly tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Mercy Chebet from Fort Tenant region on standby. Bishop Ben Rotich from Madogo region in North Coast, confirming you are tuned in. I've received your confirmations. Zephaniah Kosgei from Salem Altar, Nyahururu region, confirming you are on standby. Overseer Diana Atieng Asembo, confirming you are tuned in. Senior Deputy Archbishop Beatrice Chilchil from Bureti, Transmara region, confirming you are on standby. I've received your confirmations here. This is Marion from Busia main altar on standby and waiting to hear from the Lord. And also on this other side, I've received your confirmations here. This is Pastor Enoch Towet from Mulot Central Altar. You confirm that you are also on standby and waiting to hear from the Lord. Senior Bishop Brian Wariadho from Choka, confirming that you are tuned in. Pastor Noah Kihoro from Nairobi main altar, confirming you are tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Bishop Enoch Langat from Mugango altar, confirming you are tuned in. Ofafa Jericho is tuned in. Pastor Charles, and also Stella Kimwocho, confirming you are tuned in from Qatar. I've received your confirmations here. This is Deputy Archbishop Vitalis confirming that Mailin region and the entire of Uasin Gishu West region, you are tuned in. And also Oliver from Busia Main Altar tuned in. I've received your confirmations on this other side. This is Overseer Stephen writing to us from Butula Central region, confirming that you are tuned in and on standby. Pastor Pamela from Pipeline Dondori region on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Jane Maina from Dhika confirming you are tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Jenkins confirming that Tukambani is tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmations. Marianne from Roy Sambu, you are tuned in. Bishop Kemboi from Maragua Gatanga region confirming you are tuned in. Mama Deputy Archbishop Enoch from Donholm confirming that you are tuned in. Pastor Lucy Wangari from Gatondo South confirming you are tuned in. Overseer Nathan from Canberra, Australia confirming you are tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Sami Ekaran, Free Area is tuned in. This is Overseer Lea Denya, Moise Bridge is tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Lanoi Linda from Nairobi Main Altar on standby. Pastor Ada Odera from Nairobi Main Altar also on standby. Your confirmations here. This is Julia Bolo writing to us from Mawego National Polytechnic, confirming that you are on standby. Pastor Ruth Kayonzo region, you are confirming you're on standby. Greater Laja Butere Mumias on standby. Pastor Naomi Wanjiro confirming you are on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. And also right here, I've received your confirmations. This is Betty from Utawala confirming you are tuned in. Pastor Nancy from Isibania region confirming that you are tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmations here. This is Pastor Patricia from San Diego, California, confirming you are also tuned in. And also on this other side, Pastor Yafan from Bethany Altar confirming you are tuned in. Senior Deputy Archbishop Nyamodi, Siaya region, has heard the special announcement and tuned in. Mama Bishop Enoch from Mugango confirming you are also tuned in. Lovina Chieng from Huruma region in Nairobi tuned in. Peter Chukunzira from Vihiga County confirming that you are tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmations here. Deputy Archbishop Mirindo confirming that Greater Ugenya region is on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Ejenia Yona from Ruaka Metro on standby. Kilifi South is tuned in and on standby. Deputy Archbishop Jael Okeyo writing that Greater Oyugi region is on standby. Overseer Sergeant Onyamasi, DCI Kisumu, confirming that you are also tuned in. Thank you very much. And also Pastor Kevin Simiyu confirming that Qatar Main Altar on standby. Overseer Anna Kirui from Kabusare Altar confirming you are on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Overseer Jemima Nyakiti confirming Nakuru Main Altar on standby. Bishop Ezekiel Elungat confirming that Kiamunyi region in Nakuru West, you are on standby. Pastor Billy Mwangi, entire Gwakiongo Altar and Pipeline Dondori region on standby. Steve Gatobu from Timao confirming you are also on standby. I've received your confirmations here from Komenya Rabal Altar confirming you are on standby. I've received also from Tiati Central region confirming that you are also on standby. Overseer Lydia Maina from Bethany confirming you are also tuned in. Pauline Nasimiu from Nairobi Main Altar tuned in. Maureen Cheruto from University of Nairobi tuned in. Bishop Evans Mwatate region is tuned in and on standby. This is James Omari confirming that you are tuned in. Beloved people, precious listeners, be on standby wherever you are. Be on standby wherever you are. Beloved people, make sure that you are ready, because any minute now, beloved people, the two mega mightiest prophets of Jehovah Yahweh will be live on air right here on Jesus is Lord Radio, live from Singapore, because the Lord God Jehovah Yahweh has spoken. Wapendwa wasikilizaji, kaa chonjo, kaa tayari sasa, kwa sababu dakika yoyote sasa manabii wakuu wa utukufu na wakutisha sana wa Mungu Baba Jehova Yahweh watakuja kwetu moja kwa moja hewani hapa kote kutoka kule taifa la Singapore, kwa sababu Bwana Mungu mkuu mwenyezi Jehova Yahweh amenena. Mchungaji Elizabeth.
Kweli kabisa, kikampeno msikilizaji, hakikisha uko tayari, hakikisha uko chonjo kabisa. Sasa mpeno msikilizaji, now I've received your confirmation. Bishop Ben Rotich of Madogo region in the North Coast, you say that you are tuned in. Overseer Gabriel, yet again confirming you're tuned in. Senior Deputy Archbishop Beatrice Chirchir of Bureti Transmara region, tuned in. Pastor Festus of Bureti, tuned in. Senior Deputy Archbishop Maureen Wechuli and the entire Nambale region is tuned in. Pastor Raymond from Bureti, tuned in. Bishop David Wariathu from Chokami Hango region, tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received from Caro from Kakamega, you're confirming that you're tuned in. Your confirmation here, Bishop Moses Ogano from Nyamache region, you're confirming that you're tuned in. Frida, tuned in from Bethel Altar in Thank you very much indeed. Bishop Stephen Luamba from Butula East region, tuned in. El Bethel Main Altar in Kiambu, Nairobi, tuned in. Bishop Engineer Simiyu confirming. Chenre Brian from Kangemi, tuned in. Your confirmation here, this is Overseer Stanley of Eregi Altar, you confirming that you are tuned in. Your confirmation here, Buyangu Altar in Vihiga region, tuned in. Marigat region, confirming that you are tuned in and on standby. I've received from Mercy Chitechi, you're confirming that you're on standby. Evelyn Vuyanzi from Roka Main Altar, on standby. Pastor Bet Jotham, tuned in from China. Your confirmation, Pastor Sami Ekaran from Free Area. Ruth from ICM, you're confirming that you're tuned in and on standby. Your confirmation here, Deputy Archbishop Horace, you're confirming that you're on standby. Overseer Frederick Makori of Kawangware 56 on standby. Alfred Otieno of Kisumu Altar on standby. Deputy Archbishop Peter Ndalo of Brook Main Altar on standby. Mercy Chebet of Fort Tenan and also a student tuned in. Your confirmation, Pastor Mercy Meli of KMTC, tuned in waiting to hear from the Lord. Your confirmation, Jeremy Chacha of Moi University Campus, tuned in. Alfred Otieno of Kisumu Altar confirming that you're tuned in. I see your confirmations here. Your many confirmations. This is Pastor Brian Waswa. You're confirming once again that you're tuned in. And also your confirmations from the nations. I see here Berlin, Germany is tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Sarah confirming. San Diego, California, tuned in. Flamingo Altar, tuned in. Bishop Catherine Wangoi. Overseer Brenda Masinde confirming that you are tuned in. Askofu Teddy Patrick confirming that Jos Kamala is tuned in. Belgium is on standby. Senior Archbishop Mirail Hadassah confirming. Mama Archbishop Laura Longo confirming that the nation of Cameroon is tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Mongola confirming that Wundaye is tuned in. Buganda region in Uganda is tuned in. Senior Bishop Godfrey confirming. Your confirmation, Pastor Josefina Polanco of Ecuador confirming that you are tuned in. Bungoma is tuned in. Senior Deputy Archbishop Beatrice Mutali confirming. Suva Main Altar in Fiji is tuned in. Pastor Frank confirming. I've received your confirmation here also once again from San Diego, California. I see Slovakia is tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Be tuned in, be on standby, beloved people. I see the nation of Ireland tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. Overseer Linda Hampton confirming that Tyler, Texas is tuned in. I see you tuned in from Maryland. You're confirming that you are on standby. And also your many confirmations, blessed people, beloved listeners. The nation of Italy and all of Europe is on standby. Senior Archbishop Charles Afram confirming. Pastor Winnie confirming that Iraq is on standby. Galveston Island in Texas, USA, tuned in. Malaysia is tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Lucas Bensa confirming that you're tuned in from the USA. I see here New Orleans and the Greater Louisiana region tuned in. Airways region tuned in. Be tuned in, beloved people. Be on standby, blessed listeners. I've received your confirmation here from Marigat region. Pastor Mary Yatich confirming. Overseer Beatrice of Kiminini region tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Overseer Anthony of Osoro, Cheboagan, Bureti tuned in. Your confirmation, Overseer Gelta Kavetsa from Pekera tuned in. Pastor Noah Kihoro from Nairobi Main Altar tuned in. Moses Mugambi of Kongowea region, you're confirming that you are tuned in. This is your confirmation here. Caroline Athiambo from Nanyuki main altar, you're confirming that you're tuned in and on standby. I see your confirmation. Overseer Jeremiah Taki also tuned in. Pauline from Olenguroni region tuned in. I've received your confirmation on this side. Pastor Stephen from Huruma in Nairobi tuned in. Pastor Isaac from Rafiki Farm tuned in. Your confirmation, Pastor Maureen Cherono from Shalom Altar tuned in. Your confirmation, this is Ann Otieno from Nairobi main altar tuned in. Be tuned in, beloved people. Be on standby. I've received your confirmation on this side. This is Overseer Charles from Komenya tuned in. Samuel from Kimilili tuned in. Your confirmation, Isaac Ongola from Kendu Bay on standby. Overseer Korir of Ruaka Altar on standby. Your confirmation, Pastor Michael Nyangani from Kisumu Oasis Altar on standby. Your confirmation, Overseer Beatrice Kabingu from Kabazi Altar tuned in. Mary Okoth confirming that East Seme region is on standby. I see your confirmation. Cynthia Rachel confirming that Kabarak University is on standby. Your confirmation, Hillary and family from Nakuru main altar confirming that you're on standby. Evelyn Soy from Bureti main altar on standby. This is Bishop Ayapar Richard of Tiati Central region on standby. Wayne from Machakos University on standby. I've also received from Overseer Dennis Minor of Gatundu Altar in Thika on standby. Greater Ugenya region on standby. Deputy Archbishop Mutisia, you're confirming that you're also tuned in and on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Be tuned in, be on standby, beloved people. Ensure that you have reached out to every single person, that everybody may be ready and on standby to hear from the Lord, beloved people. Overseer Zawadi of Gachie main altar confirming that you are tuned in. Pastor Faith Martin from Ruaka Metro tuned in. Pastor Judith from Yaya Kilimani tuned in. Be tuned in, beloved people. Be on standby. Pastor Caroline.
Be tuned in, be on standby. On this other side, Pastor Muigai James from Ruaka on standby. And also I've received your confirmations here. This is Steve writing to us from Timao, confirming you're on standby. Bishop Ayapar Richard from Tiati Central confirming you are on standby. Mercy Chebos from Kiriri Women's University confirming that you are on standby and waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmations here. This is Mama Victor Praise writing to us from Odaya region confirming you're on standby. Pastor Michael Nzere, Northwestern Province in Zambia confirming you are on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. Bishop Emmanuel from Bombolulu in Mombasa North confirming you are on standby. I've received your confirmations here. This is Limuru confirming you are tuned in. From Mlolongo confirming that you are also tuned in. This is Pastor Japheth from Joska main altar confirming you are tuned in. Delphine Kwamboka from Arvibs confirming you are on standby. Pastor Teresia Olomayana altar confirming you are tuned in. I've received your confirmations. Pastor Stanley from Tasia altar, you are on standby. Marion Odhiambo Kabiria altar on standby and tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. Your confirmations here from Karen region, Pastor Waweru John confirming you are on standby. Your confirmations, Maureen Rono from Bomet confirming that Bomet is tuned in. Buruburu main altar is tuned in. Highway main altar is tuned in. Lanet region is on standby. Tabitha Mwangi, Githurai 44 on standby. This is Marsha from Ragumo altar confirming you are tuned in. Litonde from Ruaka on standby. Pastor Okwom from Nairobi main altar tuned in. Maureen Furaha Mukuyuni tuned in. Gaya Mandela humbly tuned in. And also Pastor Kevin Kosgei from Qatar main altar on standby. Bishop Justus Barasa from Wajohi region on standby. Deputy Archbishop Eliud confirming that you are also on standby. Joy Koech from Torongo on standby. Overseer Luka Natanga from Mount Elgon confirming you are also on standby and tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. Deputy Archbishop Lumala Huruma is tuned in. Pastor Medlin Cherotich from Donholm Main Altar on standby. Pastor Raymond from Bureti confirming you're on standby. Bishop Bramwell Salano from Mabera Kuria confirming you are tuned in. Brother Timothy from Wangige Main Altar tuned in. Overseer Patrick Ligare from Kakamega tuned in. Violet Sauke from Roysambu confirming you are tuned in. Collins Kibet from Uasin Gishu Main Altar confirming that you are tuned in. Bishop Wycliffe confirming that Transmara East region is tuned in. Pastor Bonventure Macharia from Kibuye in Kisumu Airport region, you are tuned in. Nanyuki is tuned in. Rosemary Sanoe and also Sandra Chemutai from Makongeni on standby. Australia Brisbane confirming you are tuned in. Joshua Oyamo from Huruma confirming Nairobi Metro is on standby. Wagai Altar is tuned in. I've received your confirmations here. This is Elizabeth Nyambura from Gomongo Altar in Babadogo region confirming you are tuned in. Senior Deputy Archbishop Wesley Nyerechi confirming that Bomet Metro is tuned in, waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Eunice Karen is tuned in. Coletta Mutua from Utawana confirming you are tuned in. I've received your confirmations here. Pastor Evans Okengo GSU from KU Altar confirming that you are tuned in. Overseer Olivers Otieno from the University of Nairobi tuned in. Your confirmations also on this other side. This is Victor Emmanuel from Technical University of Mombasa tuned in. I've received your confirmations here. Pastor Antonio confirming that Angola is on standby. Samson from Watamu tuned in. And also right here, Pastor Widow Irene from Ruaka confirming you are tuned in. Senior Deputy Archbishop Professor Samuel Kamun confirming that larger Kilifi region is on standby. Deputy Archbishop George Oele confirming that Asembo Rarieda region confirming you are on standby. Overseer Peter Herbert from Northwest South Africa, you are tuned in. I've received your confirmation. Glenn Kibet confirming that Kapsawa region is on standby, waiting to hear from the Lord. And also Senior Pastor Jose and Mariotti confirming that Altar Spanish from Sacramento, California, you are on standby. I've received your confirmations here. This is Mama Deputy Archbishop Kere from Maseno confirming you are also tuned in. Be on standby wherever you are, beloved people, precious listeners. Just make sure that you are on standby wherever you are. Overseer Bernard Wanzala from Isebania region confirming you are tuned in. Bishop Rebecca Tello from Cherangani West region confirming you are tuned in. Oliver Okaka from Busia Main Altar confirming you are tuned in. This is from Overseer Dr. Abraham from Murera Altar in Juja confirming you are tuned in. Bishop Zachary Otieno from Magina Main Altar confirming that you are tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Mama Robinson writing to us from Teacher Altar confirming that you are tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received your confirmations here. Donholm Main Altar is tuned in. Mitei Elijah writing to us from Kericho East region confirming that you are tuned in. Pastor Griffins Rono Konoin is tuned in once again. Boya Iweyo writing Bishop Filgona confirming that you are also tuned in. Overseer Bernard Maiko from Karongo Altar tuned in. Overseer Njoroge from Salama Altar in Elbagon confirming you are tuned in. I've received your confirmations here. Pastor Mary Maker from Shalom Altar, Western Australia confirming you are also tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. The entire of Oman confirming you are tuned in, and also on this other side, this is Czech Republic, Archbishop Banda confirming that you are also tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Kennedy from Salem Altar confirming you are tuned in. Pastor Catherine Mandere confirming that you are on standby waiting to hear from the Lord. Be on standby wherever you are, beloved people. Be on standby wherever you are. Kaa chonjo sasa, mpendo msikilizaji. Kaa tayari popote ulipo, kwa sababu wakati wowote sasa, dakika yote sasa, manabii wakuu wa utukufu na wakutisha sana wa mbinguni wanaenda kuwa moja kwa moja hewani hapa kwenye kituo cha redio cha Yesu ni Bwana. Pastor Elizabeth, please.
Thank you very much indeed. That is right, blessed people, beloved listeners. Be on standby now. Be on standby, beloved people. Engineer Monica, I've received your confirmation that you are tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Eric from Ilisita tuned in. Pastor Beatrice, widow from the Gay Altar, you're confirming that you are tuned in. Overseer Jared Kimani of Gatwekera Altar tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Lakisama Altar is tuned in. Mama Victor Praise of Muranga region tuned in. Your confirmation, Bishop Mutai Ruben of Sosiot region. You're confirming that you're tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. Pastor Sally from Free Area Main Altar, you're confirming that you are on standby and tuned in, ready to hear from the Lord. Deputy Archbishop Esther Walumbe of Kapsoya, you say that you are tuned in. Overseer Dennis Mine of Gatundo once again confirming that you are tuned in. I've received from Overseer Diana Aching of Asembo region, tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Jael confirming that Greater Oyugis region is tuned in. Your confirmation, Pastor Michael Nyangani of Kisumu Oasis, tuned in. Your confirmation, Mila Enoch from the University of Nairobi, you are tuned in. Your confirmation, Nerea Cynthia from Maseno Depot region, confirming that you are on standby. Elder Laban from Umoja Main Altar, confirming that you are tuned in. Your confirmation, Pastor Raymond of Bureti, confirming once again that you are on standby. Isaac Ongola, confirming that you are tuned in. I've received from Greater Ugenya region, Overseer Hainga, confirming that you are on standby. Your confirmation, Pastor Ken Liaka, confirming that you are on standby. Pastor Yafan from Bethany Altar in Narok Town, confirming that you are tuned in. Bishop Moses Ongano of Nyamache region, yet again confirming that you are tuned in. And also I've received from Rumuruti, confirming that Rumuruti region is tuned in. I've received your confirmation here. This is Wellington from Elementaita, tuned in. Senior Pastor Jose and Mariotti, you're confirming that you're tuned in. Zawadi from Tenakuru Main Altar, tuned in. Pastor Mark Musawa from Amalemba, tuned in. Your confirmation, this is Pastor Morris from Choka Main Altar, you're confirming that you're on standby. Overseer Jackson Ngeno from Sotik, confirming that you are tuned in and on standby, ready to hear from the Lord. I've received from Pastor Ann of Nairobi Main Altar, tuned in. Mercy Murunga, tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord from Likoni Main Altar. Pastor Ann Nyambura and the entire Kahawa West region on standby. Pastor Joshua Wafula of Wasingishu Main Altar on standby. Senior Bishop Kinyanjui of Subukia Central region, tuned in. Overseer Victor Koech from Kamasian region, tuned in. Klevik Mefula, tuned in and waiting to hear from the Lord. I've received from Stephen Kosgei of Olkalau region. He said that you're also on standby. Mama Nathan from Nanyuki on standby. Pastor Amos Kipnieno from Kericho East region, confirming that you're on standby. Collins Kibet from Wasingishu Main Altar, confirming that you're on standby. Be on standby, beloved people. Be ready now. I see here South Korea is tuned in. Senior Archbishop Athapa confirming. Pastor Catherine of Ireland tuned in. Humbly tuned in. This is Kikwai Julius confirming that you're on standby. Bishop Jenny Chang confirming that Francisco, California in the USA is on standby. Your confirmation from Israel, Pastor Sandra confirming that you're on standby. Archbishop Rajesh confirming that Nepal is on standby. I've received your confirmation here from Senior Bishop Grace Kim of Malaysia, confirming that you're on standby. The nation of Peru is tuned in. Uganda confirming that you are tuned in. Senior Archbishop John Kitio. Fairfax, Virginia, USA is confirming that you're tuned in. Deputy Archbishop Dr. Paul of Melbourne, Australia confirming that you're on standby. The nation of Taiwan confirming that you're on standby. Deputy Archbishop Topos Linus confirming that you are on standby. I see once again Suva Main Altar in Fiji confirming that you're on standby. Be on standby now, beloved people.
Be on standby wherever you are. Be on standby, beloved people, precious listeners. Be on standby, beloved people, any minute now, any moment now, beloved people, any minute now.
Blessed people, beloved listeners, this is the moment, beloved people. This is the moment, blessed listeners.
哈利路亚。
Praise the Lord, my lords, the mightiest prophets of the Lord, please.
Well, blessed people,
蒙福的人
the
们
time now
现在时间
is
大约
about midday is
中午
12:26.
12:26，新加坡的时间，主跟我说话了，蒙福的人们，这是为什么我现在跟你们直播。主跟我说了，这灾难临到肯亚，我看到恐惧袭击肯亚。我跟你们说一下，这我梦中看到的细节。我看到了在梦中，主把我封在肯亚。然后他让我知道人们我们在那儿，肯亚人我知道恐怖分子来了，所以我们跑，我们逃命，主让我在那儿逃命。然后呢，恐怖分子来了，当我们跑的时候，我们跑，因为我们知道，我们就是知道了他们来要爆炸就是机关枪打机关枪之前要爆炸。当我们跑的时候，把我们的手就这样，然后就一直试着要跑。那一下子他们来到了，他们已经来到了，因此我就要关上门，关那个肯亚的门口，肯亚之门。让我发现门无法关闭，因为一扇门跟另一扇门就是无法就是关上。我一直试着来要关闭，可是无法关上。那仇敌袭击进来了，主向我显示了，好像这个狼一样的仇敌，主让我看到。后来我就看到他们像蛇，把他们称为蛇了，把他们称为大狼，然后蛇。肯亚你要悔改，并且你们要注意那个你们安全部门的官人，你们要注意。主跟我说，那有灾难临到肯亚，如果你们好好的注意的话，可以过去的。因为主说的唯一的目标就是来要处理他，好好的处理他，好让人们，好让这复兴能够得救。第二，弥赛亚来了，蒙福的人们。你看，预言就是我在以色列给出的预言，并且很多其他地方都发表过的，成就了如此惊人的时间。弥赛亚来了，所有的人都要预备，因为王要来了，非常敏感的时间，教会的生命当中，并且地区的生命当中，这是非常敏感的时间，教会的，并且地区的生命当中，任何一个人看到新闻都知道弥赛亚确实是，的确他要来了。因此这是为什么所有人要警醒警惕，要等候君王，等候弥赛亚的到来。我都看过弥赛亚的来临，这是为什么主把我带到全球，跨过全不同的地方，能够给他们每个机会，跟他们宣布君王的到来，好让他们能够预备，在政治当中好好的预备，然后好好的做完准备当中。不要让他们没有准备当中被发现。此刻这是非常那些接受主耶稣基督作为自己的救主，公义当中行走，这是非常高质量的时间。圣经这光亮洁白的细麻赐给他穿上，这光亮洁白的细麻衣就是教会的公义，神圣洁的百姓所行的公义，因此圣洁跟公义就呼召列国悔改，现在悔改。我看到了荣耀的教主，带走荣耀里的那教会，带走神荣耀国度里的那些教会呢，忠心的教会，荣耀的教会，没有瑕疵，没有周折，他是受到圣灵帮助的。他随时的专注君王的到来，这是为什么我在这跟你们宣布，主全能者他跟我说了有关弥赛亚荣耀的再临，所有人都要准备。王要来了，谢谢。
Wapendwa wasikilizaji, manabii wakuu wa